Greetings, Patrick here for a special matinee show of Eight Questions with. Glad you guys are here, and we'll be talking with our very special guest, Tatiana Neva. She'll be here in about 15 minutes, and her and I are going to talk about all things Prey of Wrath, her new action film. Um, Pretty badass. I gotta tell you. Um, might have to take a look at my where it normally says eight questions with right there. Not today. Today we're all fans of the Snow Wolf. This was a lot of fun. I watched this movie, and Cynthia Rothrock's in it. Um, and yes, because I know I'm gonna get this asked. Jeff's gonna ask me about this later, but yes, there is a scorpion kick in this movie. Um, Yeah, this is pretty fun. I gotta tell you, I was really digging this. It has a I guess it sort of has a commando vibe to it. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say it has sort of a commando vibe to it, and I was digging it. I was like, yeah, a lot of cool scenes, a lot of great fight scenes. Um, yeah, and Tatiana she is wicked cool. Um, good fighter, good fighter. Um, you could tell that she is a martial artist and not just an actress doing it. No, you could tell by the that she's put in some long hours. That's for sure. Interesting movie. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about what she's been doing. Um, because she also has some other films coming up. We'll touch bases because I always will, because this is one of my favorite things ever that I've done on this show. Was when we covered the had the when we covered the Wide West. When I watched that movie, that was like one of my very favorite movies that I've talked about on this show, because I just was blown away. Because I hear people talk about independent films all the time. Of course, you come here to Eight Questions with us, what you're gonna get. Uh, but yeah. So the costuming for the Wide West uh, is just amazing to me. I'm just like, every time I watch the movie and I look at it, I'm going like, that's just freaking amazing. And it just shows how extremely talented that Tatiana is. And so we're gonna be talking with her in about 10 minutes or so. I'm glad you guys are here. We've had a fun week so far. We turned one interview up that was heading for the bottom. We managed to turn it upside up, yes. And we ended up talking to the aforementioned Jeff, 101 Bronson, about his brand new book. We will get Matt Burns back. I mentioned it before, but we will get him back. We're going to go ahead and set up a trial and make sure his tech works, and then I'll go ahead and schedule him. All right. Well, what else is happening? Oh yeah, me and the cheetah, we're getting ready to hit our 200th dollar theater review. We watched a concert documentary film, Slayer, uh, War at the Warfield, that came out 25 years ago, but it holds up. I tell you that those guys, Slayer is an amazing band, one of the best. All right, our guest is here, so you know what that means. We never make him wait, especially when it comes down to the Snow Wolf. Don't ever make her wait. Isn't that
Hello.
right? Hi,
Hi.
Tatiana.
So good to see you again. Can you
Yes, I know.
see
I'm
me
very
already?
excited about this. Yeah, you look awesome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's been a while since we last
Yeah,
spoke.
I know. I know. You know what though? Actually, though, but you have been brought up many times since we've had you on the show. I have talked about you so much because I always brag about the Wide West and your wardrobe, and I'm just blown away by that. It was just absolutely phenomenal. And every time I watch the movie, I watch I watch for the wardrobe, and I also watch for the sumo wrestling because it was so amazing there too. Um, you and of course we got to talk a little bit about Ellen. Ellen's still out there. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We are hoping that you'll share a little bit of news about return to the world of Rio Bravo.
I would love to. She's actually one of my favorite characters.
Um, well, normally I put here, I always put my name, and I always put, 8 questions with. But today we decided that we'd probably go a little something a little different. So today we adore the snow wolf.
Thank you so much. And she loves you back.
Uh wow. Prey of Wrath. How fun is this movie? This was a
So
very cool movie.
thank you so much. I really am happy to hear that you enjoyed it so much. It was a very fun project to be a part of and to be involved on so many different levels. And I am just so grateful to Dr. Chioka, Benny Jandra, and Alexander Nevsky for bringing this project to life because this has been truly an adventure of a lifetime, I have to say.
I'm sure as you're making this movie, I'm sure you're thinking, you know what? I want to do this again.
Yes, I do.
Uh, yeah,
I
I
do.
want to do this again.
Like, who wouldn't want to? There has been some challenges, the cold weather, the heat waves, working through injuries, like there's been like quite a few hurdles we had to overcome as a team. But speaking of the team, big shout out to our team because they are the reason why we just, you know, kind of handled everything seemingly with ease. Don't let it
Y-
fool you
y-
though. It was challenging, but like we made it look easy.
Yes, yes. Everything about that movie, it's funny. I had talked to somebody, I had talked to somebody about the film, and I was sitting there, and I was like, "Yeah, man, you got to see the last scene. The last scene. They're attacking this island. They got to fight they got to fight 100 bad guys." And the guy's like, "What? What are you talking about? Four people against 100 bad guys? What kind of movie is that?" And I go,
Well, wait a minute, wait a
"Come
minute.
on,
One of them was Cynthia Rothrock, so totally doable.
I go, I whisper, I go like commando, and he just shut up. He said, oh, oh. I'm going get the idea now. He goes, yeah. I says, well, there you go, because that's the vibe I got. I got a really
100%.
cool, yeah. The only
100%.
thing was
I was
missing,
very, very perceptive because the movie was inspired by, like 90s, 80s action films. And
yes.
it was absolutely intentional. We literally were joking that my character is a female Rambo. Because, like, she's like literally just going through like hundreds of guys, like just picks up guns and, like just like cleans the island.
I Yeah, and you're right. And you're right about Cynthia. Cynthia came on there. Um, Not the first time that you worked with her. You got to work with her in Rio Bravo too.
Yes, yes. Uh, Surprisingly, Rio Bravo was started filming after the Prey of Wrath. So technically, I met her. Well, I already knew her prior to filming with her, but I worked with her for the first time technically on Prey of Wrath. But the first project that was released first was Rio Bravo. And
Okay.
working with Cynthia was a whole another story. I can talk just about that for like a long
Oh.
time.
I was actually, there's part of me that was sort of like wishing, like there's a cliche that they use in comic books. Whenever they have two good guys, right? They'll have two good guys, and then they'll meet over some perceived wrong, like, oh, like he didn't pay for my lunch. Well, anyway, the two bad guys will be meeting, and they'll start fighting, and they realize that they're friends. Like, why am I fighting you? Because I'm a good guy, like you are. I was sort of hoping that we see a little bit of that with Ludmilla and Cynthia Rothrock. I was sort of hoping to see that, just for a little bit, not too much, because I love you both. But I was hoping to see you guys clash a little bit. But next time, I mean, because
Well,
there will be a
there is
next.
a little bit of that going on. If you notice, like how do they form the alliance? Cynthia basically has Ludmila as her prisoner. Like Ludmila gets arrested, and they make a deal because Ludmila is the only one who knows the whereabouts of the, like the people who stole the warheads. So Cynthia's character knows, Brenda Sands knows that um, they need to form that alliance. Otherwise, like the clock is ticking. Like the warheads are going to be sold off. God knows to whom, but whoever is buying this kind of stuff is probably doesn't have the best intentions on how they're planning to
No,
use them. So like the consequences can be completely unpredictable. It can devastate the entire planet. And so she forms this alliance, like knowing that they're after the same goal, possibly for different reasons, like reasons can vary. But there's a moment there when they're preparing for the mission, right after they shook hands and made a deal. And Ludmila knows that she has to complete the mission for both professional reasons and personal reasons, because at this point she went rogue, and spoilers. But like at this point she's on her own, right? And she still knows that she has to complete this mission, because first of all, if she doesn't, yeah, it will devastate the planet, like literally it's going to be an international catastrophe. But at the same
yes,
time, it's like super personal to her, because ironically, the man that stole the warheads just happens to be this tyrannic, evil, like sort of genius, I guess, like in a way, like who was training her, if you can call it that way, technically breaking her, like to and forging her into this ultimate human weapon in this clandestine program. So he literally destroyed her and rebuilt her anew into something that she probably doesn't like very much, but she doesn't know any other way of being. She wasn't ever given any kind of foundation to lead a normal life, to be a normal human being. So to her, it's personal. She is like, she sees this more than just a revenge. She sees this as a key to her freedom. She feels that if she will get this one guy, it will release her from the hold of her past, and she will have a chance at finding who she really is. Like, kind of like, like in vampire movies, like when you kill the first
right.
vampire, like everybody else, like, like is free of the curse. Like she kind of like feels like, sort of, if she, like reads herself of this one guy, like she will probably be a little bit more free, a little bit more normal, possibly, and have a shot at the better life.
It's really interesting to me, until the end, of course. Then it was like, okay, I didn't see that coming. But Victor was a very interesting character. I mean,
Yeah.
he is not your normal. Uh, oh, hi Sue, how are you? Um, Hi, you're not familiar with the snow wolf. Um, she's the snow wolf.
I
Why,
am.
why, why don't you why don't you why don't you explain a little bit about who the snow wolf is, and how did Ludmilla end up being called snow wolf?
Snowwolf is the main character in the movie Prey of Wrath, which you can see on a poster behind me. Can you see the poster? Let me adjust the camera so you can see
Yeah,
the poster. There's me as the Snowwolf,
it's
and then there's the great Cynthia Rothrock, the legend of martial arts cinema. Uh, alongside, she played the character of this unrelenting FBI director, Brenda Sands, and together they fight to stop the global nuclear catastrophe from happening. Um, how did she end up being called Snow Wolf? Well, that was the creative vision of the director, writer, Dr. Chioka, who came up with this concept and who created this project, um, wrote all the characters, and basically defined this world that everything is happening in. And he called her Snow Wolf because she spent a lot of time. Um, this is my guess, like why he called her that way. Well, first of all, it's a cool name, but
Yeah, I was
also
waiting for I was waiting for I was waiting for that going like, come on, keep saying keep yeah, cool name.
cool
Yes.
name,
It is a
like, and once you hear it, it kind of like gives you a visual, like what is a snow wolf? It's a wolf that can survive in the extreme conditions of like extreme cold in the north, right? It's a northern wolf. And like when you hear that name, you are imagining snow, right? Like immediately. And this is the literally the opening scene of the movie. You see that this character spends a lot of time in the north working in those extreme conditions. Like this is like one of the things that she specializes in. Not limited
yeah.
to, but not everybody is trained to work in those conditions. It's a very different experience. Like I grew up in Russia, and let me tell you something, the winters were no joke,
No.
especially in the area where I come from. Not the worst, but definitely something, like to challenge yourself with. And I spent a lot of time, like in my childhood playing in the snow. I love the snow. I love it more when I live in California, in the sunny California. Like I see it like once in a few years.
Yeah. Once
Like
in
it's
a
a
blue
lot more
moon.
fun experiencing it, like just knowing from afar that it's out there somewhere, rather than spend the entire like winter in it. But I do love the snow. I do love how beautiful it is. And like if I'm dressed in, like layers and warm clothes, like I don't mind the cold too much. Like everything in moderation though. Um,
Yeah, you got a little Californianized a little bit. Yeah,
yeah.
we don't get too much snow down there in Southern California. I mean, maybe the San Gabriel Mountains, maybe Mount Baldy once in a while, or it'll drop some snow on us there. But
I
most of the time, yeah, there's no snow.
I've no complaints about that. I don't mind if I really want to experience the snow, I don't mind taking a little trip for it, But like as far as just living conditions, I do prefer to live in a warm environment. I'm not gonna lie, like eternal summer works for me. But Ludmila is a different story. Like she is a special forces agent, and she was literally created. She was trained to go on those black ops missions into all kinds of extreme environments, and not only survive but complete the mission. And as we were filming that opening scene in the snow, I
Where
have to
where where
say,
did you where did you film that at?
we actually filmed it in California. I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact location, but it was filmed in California. This is what is
Okay.
amazing about California, is that you can get different seasons. Literally, like if you go to
Yeah.
different places, like there's
Yeah.
different seasons can be seen, like happening in California at the same time. So in one spot you will have winter, in another spot you will have summer at the beach, like, and you can have both on the same day. So that's
Mm.
why I think Hollywood became, a staple in the movie business and the cinema industry, because, like you could get so many different environments to film in, and they're all coexisting at the same time. So we timed it pretty well, and it took us a while, like a lot of, coming back, like to shoot the pickups and stuff like that, and because like it is a long opening. It's quite a long scene, and as you can
It
imagine.
established it establishes who Ludmilla is, because we don't know who she is or what she's capable of. So I thought that opening scene, I actually thought it did a really nice job without a lot of dialogue, but it did a really effective job in establishing who you are and what your capabilities are. And I thought they did that. I thought they did a very good job at that. Um,
Yeah.
and so we see that we see that Lumella is a master of disguise, not afraid to work in harsh conditions. She's a crack shot. She's also a good hand-to-hand fighter. I mean, all that, all in the first, 10 minutes, to establish the character. A lot of times, a lot of movies will stretch it out, and we learn, they stretch it out, and sometimes it's just better to like, what can she do? This. Oh, I'm impressed. Let me just sit down here with my popcorn. Uh, and that's how I felt with this movie. And I love the plot line too, for sure, Tatiana, because there was another movie. I'm not sure if it had thing. I'm not comparing every movie to your movie to every other movie, but I'm just remembering the movies that because this one struck home for me because there's a movie that I watched a long time ago, back in the 90s, that was one of my very favorite films. And it had that plot device in it about the Russians they were stealing nuclear warheads. It was a movie called The Peacemaker with George Clooney
I
and
haven't
Nicole
seen that
Kidman.
one.
Have you seen that one?
No, but who's in
Uh,
it?
George Clooney, Nicole Kidman,
Oh,
and I think Armin Stahl. He was in it as well. He played George Clooney's friend. And so in
nice.
the opening of the film, it shows that they steal the warheads, and then they send one through live, and it blows up.
Oh
So
my
it
goodness.
covers up, yeah, it covers up their crime. They set off a nuclear explosion to hide their theft. It's a really good movie and one of George Clooney's best acting, as far as I'm concerned. Nicole Kidman was so young back then. I mean, she was just you watch her back there to where she is now, and you won't even recognize her. But I like the story. So when with the plot of you're trying to recover those nuclear warheads, that was I liked it. I liked that quite a bit, and to hand the ball to you, like, okay, you got to do this by yourself. Again, it establishes that the Russian defense is like, well, we can't send we don't have anybody in there that's good enough to take care of this problem other than just one person.
Yeah. Well,
And
originally the reason why you only see Ludmila going in is because it's a very time sensitive subject, and um, she was basically the closest asset to the area when they were informed that this like team of people is currently in the process of stealing the warheads. um, Ludmila was the closest asset to this operation, who was already tracking them. And this is how, like, this is literally like why she is there when it happens. And the reason why she goes in alone is because no one else is able to arrive in time to like to help her, to aid her in that. And it's kind of like a judgment call that she needs to make, and she chooses to charge in, like, and try to at least slow them down until reinforcements
right,
arrive.
I thought it
However,
was interesting. I thought it was
however
interesting. It's like I was gonna say, I think it's interesting. I think if you ask Ludmilla, what's the main objective here? The four warheads or Victor? Why do I have a feeling it was gonna be Victor all day? Like,
It was
You get
both.
one part,
It was both.
but
It
I
was
think
both. I mean, like when you have this kind of situation, you cannot neglect the mission. Like even after
yeah,
going rogue, she still has to complete the mission because she knows that the fate of humanity is basically kind of resting in her hands in this matter. But at the same time, uh, it's very personal to her as well. So she knows that like priority is the warheads, but priority number two that takes place like right after the mission is done, she would not stop. Like she never intended to stop hunting him. Like once she was on his tail, like it was a done deal. Like she had to face off with him. And you're right to feel like, is it the warheads, is it Victor? It's both at the same time, as it always is. Often in life you have, for example, you're pursuing your career and it's important, right? But at the same time you have your private personal life with the people that you love that also demand attention. And how do you choose one or the other? You don't, you pursue both, you just manage your time. So
yeah.
similarly, like this is kind of like she's basically facing the same like traditional issue technically that every
Well,
man or woman is facing in the world. Like this, there's your
I,
career, there's your
I,
work, and then
yes,
there's your personal.
yes, yes. And I'm sitting here and I'm watching Ludmilla, and for one thing, I'll sit there and say that Victor's team, boy, they got soft as dough, because they were enjoying that California sunshine, because Ludmilla was able to go up there and just take out the trash. No, like they were just all comfortable, and yet she walks in there and just takes them out. I mean, and I thought that was interesting. And of course, then we have your ally is supposed to come in there, and then the Russian defense says, "Yeah, well, after you're done, kill them both." It's like,
Yeah.
you think once for once the the Russian defense ministry would actually be a asset, like to be a resource to help Lamilla
Well,
out. But
if you notice, it was not about Russian defense. That the order came from that specific one guy who was
Mhm.
after her from the beginning, who literally was demanding her destruction, who was insisting that the project is too dangerous, she's too volatile, she's too unpredictable. He was insisting that she is more dangerous than Reznikov, and was insisting that, oh, we need to deal with her. Like you should have killed her while you still could. And he technically uh disobeys direct orders because he was never given a permission to give the order that he
No.
gave. Like so it was his initiative. That's why, like later on you see Ludmilla deal with him, like make time for this
Yes.
guy, like because he is one of the villains of this movie. There's Reznikov, like the immediate threat, and then there's this guy, like a kind of like a gray cardinal, I guess, in the
He-
background, like scheming and
yeah.
like cunning.
He had operated. I understand. When you see his character, he's sitting there and he's so adamant about it because he knows how damaged Ludmilla is. And so, I don't know if it was a personal thing too, to him. When you see him talk about, kill them both or kill her, and you should, I think he's talking from a place of fear, because he's like, oh, look what he made. He
He
made
just,
her, he
yeah.
made Ludmilla, and now he has no control over her, very minimal control, and
Yeah.
it's like,
He's
and
just trying
so,
to tie the loose ends basically because he knows that the woman and the child, they might alert Reznikov about what's going on, which would make it increasingly harder to complete this mission, if at all possible. Because if Reznikov find out what's going on, like, and gets this information from them, he will be able to counter their plans. So it's important, in his opinion, to give an order to tie the loose ends, and he doesn't see them as people. He sees them as witnesses. He sees them as complications. He sees them as just
Mhm.
numbers on a paper. Um, Ludmila, in that moment, her life splits in the before and after, because she is used to going after the people who make sense to her as targets. She is absolutely relentless, but all of a sudden she's being faced with a choice. Like, she is being ordered to kill a child and a
Yes,
mother of a child whom she knows, whose brother served with her. Like, this is not just a woman, this is a personal connection. And you can tell
yeah,
the way that she talks about her from the get-go. When we first introduced that woman's character, and the agent is asking, do you know her? And Ludmila says, yes, I do. Like, her brother served with me. So, like, to her, it's it's a very close connection that means something to her. Like, you can tell by her voice, like, that she's already kind of mourning that woman and mourning that connection that she will sever with her brother once he like, if he's still alive, like, if he finds out that she killed his sister. Like, we don't know what kind of relationship was there, but, like, we can tell that probably friendship, because like, you can hear it in her voice, the way that she says that. So
I
for her to let them go was, she basically compromises the mission, and she basically puts a target on her back, because now she has to not only navigate through foreign country defenses, she also has to, like, look over her shoulder, because,
well,
like, her own people are going to be after her.
well, I thought that scene had one of the most emotional scenes in the whole movie,
Yeah.
other than after, and that is, hey, Mike. Mike has a question. Okay, we'll come back. And
Okay.
I'll tell you what mine was. He says, Tatiana, what is a stunt that you would love to do but haven't been able to yet?
In general, or in that particular movie?
I would say in general.
In general. Oh, goodness gracious. You know what? There is a couple of stunts. I don't know how to describe them to you. There's a
I
couple
was
of
gonna, I was gonna,
visually
I was gonna,
visually
I was gonna ask you.
spectacular things that I still want to do, and at some point in some project, I hope that I will be able to do them, to perform them. They're very elaborate takedowns that I saw. Like, there's also a few stunts that I saw with weapons, with the swords, that attracted me, and I will definitely attempt to incorporate them into a project in the future. Uh, I just love great visuals.
Mm,
Um, to me, like, action, uh, action films are a form of art where you get to kind of like do this dance almost. It's like, it's very similar. And I have a dancing background. When I was a kid, I was a ballerina, and I took, like, different dance classes. um to me, it's like, the more I get an opportunity to do something that matches the story, matches the character, because, like, not all characters are supposed to be, like, performing kung fu moves. Like, not all of them are going to be elaborate. Some of them are going to be very straightforward. Basically, you have to kind of like match it to the character. But I do like an opportunity every now and then to make it a little more dancey. So, like, this project was very rewarding in a way that Snow Wolf was trained in multiple different disciplines. You can see elements of uh, karate. You can see some elements of Wing Chun actually, when she does like multiple hits, like really fast.
Yes,
Like
I
you
saw
can
that.
see
I saw that.
like
I saw that.
elements of
I saw
Muay
a
Thai.
little bit of a little bit
Mhm.
of Ip Man right there. You and Cynthia
Yeah.
both were using Wun Chung in that movie.
Yeah, well, Cynthia is a legend of kung fu, so like it's
Yeah, I had never,
expected.
I had never seen her use that in any of her films. The Wun Chin, I had never seen her do that. I've always seen her do her style, and then of course, we're sitting there just sitting going like, yeah, what slob's gonna, when she fights off against those two guys, and you're sitting there going like, so which one of you guys drew the lucky straw to get Scorpion kicked? And sure enough, that Scorpion kick hit, and I was like, hell to the yes. I'm going like, I was actually really hoping that you'd be able to throw a Scorpion kick in the movie too.
Uh,
I was hoping like
I
I was hoping you guys would have a
sorry.
fight scene. You guys were fighting together against the
We can
bad
like high
guys,
five
and you both, yeah,
do
both throw score.
scorpion
I was
kicks
hoping
on
for
the
that.
different
Yeah,
sides and high five with them, right? But no, I left the scorpion kick for Cynthia because it's
yeah.
her signature kick and she
Oh,
was
sorry.
doing it way before me, and it's one of my favorite moves, and it's been my
Everybody's favorite
favorite move
move.
ever since I was a teenager playing this game. It's like a versus game called Tekken, and one of my favorite characters was this Chinese girl Ling, and that was actually her signature, like one of her signature moves, and I was obsessing with that kick since then. And then when we were filming Prayer Wrath, I literally, that was the one move that I really wanted to do, but I decided not to because it's Cynthia's signature and
Yeah,
I wanted to leave it for her to do because her fans are going to be expecting that. And if it's going to be two scorpion kicks in the same
guilty.
movie, it's kind of like taken away from,
Yeah,
like her moment. And I just decided,
yeah.
like,
I
there's plenty
agree.
of other stuff I can do. So,
I
but she was
agreed. Agreed.
magnificent. I really loved her fight in the film. I have to
Me
say
too.
she is literally uh pushing the limits. Like she was always a trailblazer in the industry. Um Became one of the most prominent female actresses to rock the scene of the Hong Kong martial arts movies cinema, because back in the day it was completely male dominated industry, and for a woman to make it through, it was absolutely incredible, like unbelievable. So she literally pioneered the industry in a lot of ways and paved the way
She
for other
actually did.
actresses, but she's still
There's a
doing it.
lot of.
She's still
Yep.
doing it, like, because a lot of times, like people will, quit somewhere along the way because like it's hard. Like this is something that is
Yeah.
hard to do at any point in your life, but to continue doing it and to do it for the for your entire life, that is the kind of commitment. This is when this person is like on the path of the peaceful warrior. Basically, this is what is going on because her complete commitment to being the martial artist, unwavering, unrelenting, is absolutely admirable. And I have to say, watching her kick so much ass in this film, like she has this amazing fight scene where she faces off with uh, two men, and watching how she throws those kicks, like her form is so good, so
Yeah.
precise. She moves really, she's like she's agile like a cat, and she looks so amazing. Like when you see her like throw that stance, like, and you see her like on the
Yeah.
screen, like she's mesmerizing, like
Yeah.
I just can't get over how great she did, and I have to say, like,
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
to
But
like give her a round
we
of applause.
we have to. but we have to talk about how great you were because you were no slouch, Tatiana. I
Thank you
mean, I
so much.
saw there were several scenes in there where you're throwing three, four kicks in a row, high kicks,
Thank you so
and
much.
and I'm just sitting at that. It's just absolutely amazing. I mean, they're. I mean, and you hold and you're doing it by doing it with by withholding your speed. It's very impressive. Before I get back to the movie, hey Brian, how are you, sir? Welcome in. Welcome in. Mike, I guess one of the questions I wanted to ask you is how long have you been a martial artist? Did you pick this up when you came here to the States, or did you pick that up when you were in Russia and then brought it over with you?
Actually, I picked it up as an adult when I came to the States. Oh my God, a kitty.
Uh,
Oh,
this is the
can you
snow.
please
This
tell
is
your kitty that I send my warmest regards? I love
Yes,
cats.
this is the snow cheetah right here, snow cheetah.
Oh, snow wolf and a snow cheetah. Look at that.
That's right, Paladin.
Oh my
Um,
God, so
yeah.
cute.
How long?
Yeah,
How long?
I, I started with martial arts when I was already an adult. Despite of like what people say, oh, you have to start as a child, like otherwise it's really hard. Well, yeah, it is harder as an adult because as a child you are blank canvas, like you're
Right.
um yeah, it's definitely going to be easier, and you definitely will have an advantage. I would suggest whether to all of the parents out there, whether you have a kid, a boy, a girl, doesn't matter. Every single kid should at least try themselves in different martial arts styles and see which one they like more. Because everybody connects with different styles. I myself went through different ones and I enjoyed every single one of them equally. But some people will be more inclined to pursue karate. Some people will be like, oh no, taekwondo is the way to go. Some people are going to be like, no, Muay Thai. Some people capoeira. Some people kung fu. Boxing, you name it. Find your own or several of your own and definitely pursue it because it's going to change so much for you. It's going to give you the strength, the stamina, the discipline, the commitment, the like the spirit that never gives up. Like it's going to change how you think. It's going to give you strategic thinking. There's so many benefits in that. And I always wanted to do martial arts, and I told my parents about it multiple times, but no, they were like, no, you're gonna have to do all of the girly things, right? Like because like
Mhm.
martial arts is not feminine, was their answer to me. Like we don't want you to be fighting. What if somebody breaks your nose? And I'm like, I'm already fighting. I'm fighting in school. I just don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, because like when you're growing up in a mixed gender environment, like sometimes like that was like happening before the ninth grade. Like I would say middle school was the toughest time, because the boys, god forbid they liked you, god forbid, because like it was shameful to admit that you like a girl but you still wanted to have an interaction with her and like to get
Right.
her attention. So you know what they did? They would come up to you and like call your name and throw your books out the window or like shove you into a table or something, or like into a desk. And I did not respond kindly when something like that happened. Like any bully that would come up to me in school would receive exactly the same kind of welcome from me. So sometimes it ended up in like brawls. And I had two girlfriends who were my besties, and they were the same way. And mind you, like I was the smallest one of the three of us. They were taller and bigger and stronger than me. Like we were all athletes. We were all like really like fast and strong and like short tempered. you know and so I was telling my parents like, I'm already doing it, it's already happening, and it's not my choice because I never start those fights. I never like bullied anyone. I never came up to somebody and be like, hey, what you're up to, do you want to fight? Like no, it's not how it happens. Like somebody would like move against me or against my friends or maybe against just some kid, like who was too small to defend themselves, and then we would, like stand up for them. I think it's actually a good way to control the bullying in schools is for stronger kids to protect the weaker kids. Like if kids would just
Yeah,
be like looking out for each other like we did, I feel like there would be a lot less bullying in schools, because like the bullies would know that there will be retribution. Like once you know the retribution is coming, like you start to think, like should I, shouldn't I, maybe I should not. But
yeah.
anyways, then I grew up, I moved to United States, and I realized, wait a minute, I can do whatever I want. And I was already pursuing acting, and I'm like, what kind of acting do I want to do? What kind of movies do I really, really enjoy? Like, and I have a lot of respect for all kinds of different genres, but my favorites include action, like usually whether it's fantasy, whether it's sci-fi, whether it's action adventure, whether it's a straight up action film, even comedies. I like comedies with elements of action, like True Lies, one of my favorite films of all time. But
Right.
it's a comedy and it's an action film, and like if you can give me both at the same time, like this is when I'm
I,
happy.
I, I I'll tell you a movie that Alex did that made me laugh a lot because it was so funny because the interaction with him and his co-star, and that was a Throwdown in Manila.
Showdown.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh,
Showdown in
that
Manila.
showdown, yeah, showdown in Manila. I had so much fun with that. Casper was dropping one-liners the whole movie. That movie made me laugh. That was actually my first introduction to Alex. Was that movie? Um, I got it because it was Casper was on the cover, and then that was my first time. And after that, then I started keeping my eye out. But that was it was like who knew? Who knew Casper Van Dien could be such a funny guy? But he
Alexander knew.
was. And Alexander, yeah, Alexander playing the straight guy, and there's Casper, being funny, and it
They
worked.
had a really great
Um,
dynamic in there. I agree. Like Casper Van Dien, like usually plays those stoic kind of characters.
yeah,
He doesn't really get a chance to show off what a great comedic timing he has. It's really, really hard to do comedy, and it was really amazing to watch Alexander and Casper to get into those, like funny banters, and like I
mhm.
really enjoyed that dynamic. Like I really actually loved watching Showdown in Manila. My only wish is to have known them back when they were filming it, because oh my god, that's the movie that I would love to be a part of. It's so
That
fun.
movie was
It's
crazy.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah,
literally they created their own like version of Expendables, like in a way, because you have Cynthia Rothrock is also in it. You have Alexander Nevsky, you have Casper Van Dien, you have Mark Dacascos, you have Kerry Tagawa, you have Olivia Gruner, you have
mhm.
Don Dragon Wilson. Like, I mean, come on, like it's
That's a,
like
yeah, it's a heavy hitter. It's
legends,
a heavy.
legends of action cinema.
Yeah, I felt pretty. It was just a movie I had never heard of. Like I said, I saw it at the store, and it was like, okay, I know who Casper is because Starship Troopers is like in my top 10 favorite movies of all time.
Me
So I said,
too.
okay, I got to get that. And okay, all right, all right. Can I ask you a strange question? Can I ask you a
Absolutely.
strange question?
Shoot.
So who would you have taken? Would you have taken Ivana or Dizzy?
Ivana or Dizzy?
Hmm.
Do I need to
Uh,
know who
uh, uh,
Ivana and Dizzy is
I'm
to
sorry.
make that
Yeah,
choice, or
Dizzy was
is it more like
Dina.
an
Uh,
intuitive choice?
uh, uh, Dizzy was played by Dina Meyer, and then Ivana was played by Denise Richards. And Casper's character Johnny Rico, he was caught in the middle,
Oh,
like
something about Starship Troopers. Oh, okay, okay. Now I
yeah,
get it. Now I get it.
yeah,
You mean like who his character should have ended up with?
yeah. Who yeah, well, yeah. Who would you have picked?
you
Would you
could
pick?
take a
I mean,
coin.
if you're, if,
You could take a
yeah, if you,
coin and be like heads is Ivana and tails is Dizzy, and flip it and just like pick one, because they were both amazing. They were both
oh,
beautiful, intelligent, passionate, talented, devoted, uh, kind, sweet, fun women. Like, how do you possibly choose? You choose the one that you love. That's it. Because they
I
were
wouldn't
they
choose
were
a
both
Disney.
absolutely spectacular. Like, if you're going to like try to choose between them which one is better, you will never be able to make that choice, because they are both absolutely magnificent. And
Right.
I think like the way that it went down in the movie is perfectly acceptable, because either one would be perfect. Like, so you just go
I
with
love
the
Disney.
one that your soul chooses.
That was I love Disney. That was when I was introduced to Dina Meyer, and after that, I just like I became a Dina Meyer fan forever and ever. I think she's so cool.
Yeah,
And
she's
she's
incredible.
had a she's got that same she's had that same sort of career. Actually, I should say you are. It seems like you're following her same career path too, in a
That is a
sense
good
that
compliment.
you're doing. You're doing a lot of action movies and a lot of a lot of cop movies, like detective stories. And then as she aged out a little bit, she started getting these hot mama roles, but they were really good. I mean, and mysteries. I mean, she can do anything now. She's just isn't like, yeah, I remember her from Starship Troopers, but she's done so much now that you just can't pigeonhole her, which is
Yeah.
what every actor does not want to be. No, you don't want to be pigeonholed as just one type, which is really, really, if you think about it, think how cool this is. You're doing this
When
action film.
back when
Uh,
I
uh,
was
uh,
going into an acting school, we had this one teacher, and he used to say this thing: better to be typecast than no cast.
yeah, I've heard that one
and
too.
and
I've heard
honestly,
that
like,
one
when you
too.
when you have a typecast, it's not that bad if the typecast that you like, the category that you were kind of boxed into, is the category that you genuinely enjoy. Like, for example, I don't mind being typecast as an attractive, like kind of Bond girl type, badass in an action film. Why? Because
Sure.
nothing I love more than being that, than doing that, like embodying that energy. So I don't mind being typecast. However, I do like to venture out every now and then, so I poke my nose into like different genres and different like try myself in different roles, and explore different characters. But I always circle back around to the things that I love the most, and I honestly do not have a problem with doing something that I truly enjoy as much as
Oh, for this,
possible.
yeah, I agree. I think
Yeah.
I think I think it's just now getting, like I think people definitely know who you are now, 100%. I mean, that's just between the two Real Bravo movies that have gotten a lot of critical acclaim, The Wide West. No, I know you're in the first one, or the second one, but you're attached to it. People know you from that series, and now here, now they know, and of course the Wild West. Now they know your name. Now I'm sure once Prey of Wrath hit the theaters, once ITN released it, I'm sure that you started getting more calls for that. For that, we want you to play a Snow Wolf type character. That's amazing. And I would definitely sit there and say, hell yeah, yeah. Um, but it's like, that's great. But when you think of someone like, and I don't mean any disrespect, and this, but you think of Cynthia Rothrock, right?
Hmm.
Man, she deserved to have, she got lumped into that one typecast. She never got a chance because she's funny as hell too. You know this. She's funny.
She's
She's a
very
real,
talented, but you know what? I don't
yeah.
think if you gave her a choice to go back in time and do things differently, I wouldn't be so sure that she would choose to do them differently, because The reason why she kept doing the same thing over and over again, this is how she became a legend. She's not just an
Well,
actress who did this and that and this and that and this and that. She literally became a staple name. She became a living legend. And the reason why is because she is a proven success who did uh like basically climbed to the top of like her respective industry and the genre in itself, revolutionized it. Why? Because she kept working at it. She kept like hitting the same spot over and over again.
but she deserved better, though. I mean, think about it. Think
Yeah.
about it this way. I mean, I can think of two martial arts shows right off the bat. Right off the bat. Let's talk about this for a second. So you had Walker, Texas Ranger. I don't think Cynthia ever appeared on that show. I don't think she ever did. I mean, I could be wrong about that. I don't think she ever did. And she did it one time.
Not sure.
The last 2 years of that show, the last 2 years, they brought in two new characters. Two new characters. One was a woman, one was a guy. And the woman had a martial. Okay, you brought in a woman, an actress, to play the last two roles. I think her name was Sydney. Why the hell not bring in the best? Why not bring in Cynthia Rothrock and have her come in there and play that role? Look, out of that, there was a spinoff show of Walker Texas Ranger called Martial Law with Sammo Hung, who I'm sure Cynthia knows on a personal level from working in Hong Kong all these years.
Yeah.
That show too had a woman, a co-star, who was an actress playing, doing kung fu, playing kung fu, martial artist. Why the hell did you not bring Cynthia Rothrock in there and put her in? Because both
Well,
those shows could have.
it's a
It's to me,
very difficult question to answer
it is.
because let's not forget that back when all of those shows were filmed, it was fairly new for women to like appear in those roles, and the industry was still kind of like shifting and forming and shaping into what it is now, what we know it to be now. um
Yeah, I mean,
could
Cynthia was
could
a was
she
a
could she have gotten more opportunities? Yes. It's not
yes.
even about how amazing or not she was. Sometimes it's about like what kind of a team surrounds you. Because as an actor, you can't do everything yourself. Like you have to have a
No,
very dedicated, loyal, and capable team around you. And there were a lot of great actors, a lot of great names, men and women, who could have done so much more and so much better, who were absolutely spectacular and never got to like
yeah.
really, like explore the heights that they were absolutely capable of achieving, just because those opportunities were never given to them, like, and whose
Yeah.
responsibility it is to seek those out and make those matches, the team that's
I just
behind.
feel I always just feel bad for her whenever I think about her. I mean, because she's brought so much joy and she's opened the
Yeah.
door for actresses like you to come through. And it's just like it would have been really neat to see her in a movie like Starship Troopers. Why the hell not? She would have been a perfect Dizzy. She would have been a
You
badass. I mean,
still might. I mean, Cynthia is
yeah,
still very active, and she is still
yeah,
filming. Her career
Cynthia,
is ongoing and is
yeah.
going really well. And you never know, like we just saw uh good God, I'm so bad with names. I should just like not
I, actually, I'm
not
impressed.
attempt to.
I'm impressed.
I should not, just like not even attempt to like talk about specific person unless I'm really sure I will
Oh my
remember the name.
God.
Who played
Oh
Sarah
God.
Connor in Terminator?
Oh, Linda Hamilton.
Linda Hamilton. How do you forget that name? Oh my God. Okay, yes. So we just saw like Linda Hamilton, for example, rock this role of I think a general in or something, like it was like a military role in Stranger Things. And like, excuse me, but she was absolutely fantastic in it, and she stole the
Yeah.
show. Like you literally could
Yeah.
not take your eyes off her, because like she embodies so much inner power. You just know this lady will like is capable of so much. Like she, like the moment that you see her on the screen, like captivating. So
That's really interesting. That's a really good. God, that's really good, Tatiana. Because when the public is first introduced to Linda Hamilton, especially in the Terminator, she's presented as a real soft, feminine type
yeah,
of girl. She's really cute, and you see her, you feel like you could approach her and say hello. But in the Terminator 2, and after the Terminator 2, her whole demeanor switches. I mean,
yeah,
I have never seen her do another role like she did in the Terminator. After she did it, I've never seen her do another, soft character, a feminine character. She's
mhm,
always been she's been an action star.
yeah,
Every major movie that she's come in, she's a badass. She kicks ass and takes no names. That's interesting, because and that changed her whole career. Like she didn't do Terminator 2 and then went back and did romance after that. She just kept on
yeah.
doing the action, and it
Well,
was interesting.
because I feel like there's plenty of actresses who do romantic comedies, and like all of the, like especially back then. Back then, it was absolutely, you were a unicorn if you were a badass as an actress, as a female.
Yeah,
Um,
like Jennifer Lopez
yeah, like
or
it
Angelina
was it
Jolie.
was something it was something so unusual, and people wanted more and more of it, so it has grown and developed, and now we have like a whole like industry, where like female led movies have their own audience, loyal
Yeah,
audience who are expecting more female led action films. Back in the day, it was not the case. Those women literally paved the way for it. They literally built that part of the industry as we know it, and that it's sort of like a genre of its own, like a subgenre, right? Because uh, when you think of action, like especially back in the day, you would think of a man kicking ass, right? But right now, I saw the other day a really interesting video about the current research in like areas of like science, paleontology, and genetics and stuff. They analyzed the bones that belong to, like that were found, like dug up like a long time ago. um uh, it was like a bones of a skeleton of a person, like who they figured was a warrior, because this person had weapons on them, and they assumed that it was a man, and then they looked at the like pelvic bone, and they were like, that doesn't look like a masculine pelvic bone. And recently, uh, science went to the point where they can uh, sometimes they can establish what kind of DNA this like skeleton has, right? So they figured out it was a woman, and they decided to
yeah,
check all those other like finds that they just labeled as a man just because they had weapons. Turns out a lot of the hunters and warriors that they thought were male, they were female. They were actually female warriors, they were female
yeah,
hunters all along. We just didn't know about it. And I was fascinated by it. And circling back around to what you said about Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. Sarah Connor is one of my favorite characters because
yeah,
she shows the duality of a woman, because a woman in her natural state, when things are calm, when she is in a peaceful, safe environment, is going to naturally be feminine, like I'm sitting here right now in a white dress like a good girl. But if you watch this movie, you will see this other side of me that comes out when necessary. And it's really interesting to see her respond to the changing conditions of her environment and become more masculine, stepping up to the plate, because she is the only one who realizes the scope of, the potential of the devastation. And she knows that she has absolutely no luxury in being weak, in being relaxed and being feminine and being a sweet, good little girl. Like, she steps up to the plate, and she becomes this, human machine, basically, because her adversary is so great and so dangerous that like she's fighting for the future of her kid and for the future of humanity. Like, she has absolutely no opportunity to be soft anymore. And
Uh,
I
I
think
think the softest scene, I think the softest scene in that regard is when Ludmilla takes a shower and she's just sitting there decompressing. She's just
yeah,
sitting there, and yeah. But then and the one scene, like I said, that to me the most emotional scene in the movie was is when Ludmilla takes a little girl and you draw down on her. You pull your gun on her.
yeah, she had
Um,
an order.
what one question: was she in the room with you? The little
Yeah,
girl, was she
yeah.
in the room with you when you? Oh
Yeah, like I
wow!
have to say props to that little girl. She was such a trooper, and I was like very concerned about like the scene, and I was
Yeah,
like, if you're not comfortable with this, like we're not gonna do it. Like, you just let me know. And she fully understood, like that this is a toy gun, like a prop gun, and that she's in no immediate danger. We explained to her how to act out, like fear, and she was absolutely comfortable. She was absolutely
she really
comfortable.
was.
She
She
did
did a
not
great
feel.
job. You,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Both
you
girls,
did.
actually, both
You both
girls
did.
used in the movie, they're two sisters. They both did an excellent job, and like I have to say, like props to them. Like, so proud of them. Like, they're like cute little troopers, and they really
How
enhanced the
was it?
movie.
What was it like to do that scene? I mean, because
Uncomfortable.
taking that
I was
take
very
take
uncomfortable.
yeah, yes. Why am I why you know what? Yes. I believe that 100%. And because that was such a pivotal scene,
You know
because
what? I was more
especially when
uncomfortable than the kid. Like, I literally was like,
yeah,
I part of me really didn't want to do it, but that's the whole
yeah,
point of the scene. It needs to feel
yes,
uncomfortable. To me, it
yes.
needs to feel uncomfortable to whoever is watching it. It has, like, that's the purpose of it. That visual was meant to show you the breaking point of this human machine that Ludmilla is. That's what it
Lamilla
took.
Lamilla is such a complex character too. I mean, the characters in this movie, and the first half of the movie is more dialogue driven, and then the second half is action. But holy cow, the scene where it just it really caught me was we see Victor, and he's not your typical bad guy. He has emotions. He cries. He he pats his guys, his henchmen. He gives them a hug. He's not the usual, I will break you. He is, he has a lot of emotion in those scenes. And I was like, okay, that's really, that's different. And then the scene where you and him are fighting and you finally get up on him and you know that he's fading away. But then you come to him and you tell him as a gesture of peace, he says, your wife and your daughter, because you could have said nothing. And
Yeah,
he would have went to Valhalla thinking that his wife and daughter were dead. You could have,
yeah,
Lumilla's character could have just sat there and just watched them bleed out. But she went over there and put her hand on his shoulder and said, they're safe, they're okay, they're alive. And you show that compassion for your enemy, he dies, and then you just when you grab the rock, I was like,
yeah.
I didn't see that coming. I was like, okay, so this, because he just got done expressing compassion to him, and then you're just like beating him silly. you're beat, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You're just
well,
pounding him silly. What an
it's
interesting,
it's
complex character.
it's very perceptive of you to pay attention to those details because from the psychological standpoint, uh, every single person in existence is very complex. We just don't get to see it very well, right? Because people kind of wear masks in their everyday life. You just see who the character that they created to, like an avatar that goes out there in the world and interacts with people. And you have an avatar for your parents, and you have an avatar for your friends, for your buddies. Like you have an avatar for you, like if you have a wife, you have a child. Like for dealing with officials, like and stuff like that. But we don't always get to know a person in a real life from all of those different perspectives, because usually we don't get to watch them in all of those different environments. There's very few people in the world that get to see us. Like, for example, if you have a partner in life, like a wife or a husband, they get to see you in multiple environments, interacting with multiple situations and people in different ways. They know, like, in which situation which part of you comes out, right? But majority of people just know one version of you, or maybe two. So with the movies, like what I like is that you get to watch this person go through different situations. You're like, like peeking after them, like you get to like quietly witness their life and their transitions from this to that, and so on and so forth. And with what you brought to our attention with Victor, for example, yes, he's a complex character. There are people that he does have feelings for. Like he does
Yeah.
value his men, like, and
hmm
he is not willing to just, like sacrifice them. Like he's
tell me another movie right here, if you can. Tell me another movie where a bad guy did that. I've been racking my brain about this. I've been trying to rack my head. Like, what's the
oh
last time I saw a bad guy show this kind of compassion for his men? When he walks
oh my
out there
god,
and he
I'm
sees the guy,
I'm
we
I'm
could be here for
sure
hours.
I'm sure I could, but like right off the top of my head, it's
Uh,
really hard to do.
I've been doing
Um,
it for hours, Tatiana, and I can't. I'm just trying to think of like, when's the last time a bad guy really showed that? I mean, there's been some where they've had second thoughts. I could think of Ed Harris on The Rock. I'm just, that was one who regretted what he did, but he didn't have regrets. But when his men were killed, well, he had regrets. He had regrets of what he did in The Rock when he killed the SEAL team, but he still was going to do his
that's a good
mission.
example.
Uh, um, but yeah, d- now
There's not
you
there's
now
not a lot. There's not a lot of those kind of characters out there. I would have to agree.
not enough.
He's somewhat unique in that way, and at the same time, you see him like have very tender love for his woman. Like you can see that he's not, like it's like he's compartmentalizing. There's like a part of him that is completely like tyrannic and heartless, but then there's like a compartment in his heart where love lives, and he's not like a flat out just a bad guy. He shifts between those things, like when his ego takes over, and you can even see it in the end, when he's dying and Ludmila tells him like your wife and your kid are alive. He literally takes it in for a second, but the last thought before he dies is arguably like makes you think, is that coming from an ego? Because the last thing that he says is, you were the best of everyone that I ever created. he mumbles it because he's dying, so like
Yeah.
it's really hard to make it out. But this is what he says: you were the best of all that I ever created. He basically, like, last thing that crosses his mind is not like, thank God my family is alive, or like whatever, or like, I'm sorry I did this to you. Last thing that he thinks is literally, I created you and I did a great job, because look at you, you are the best, you are the product of what I did. And he did
I
horrible things to her
He
to
did
get her
horrible
to
things.
be this way,
He did
so.
horrible things.
And
He definitely
technically,
deserved to die.
and technically,
He
he
definitely.
failed because he was honing her to be this um uh ultimate weapon, ultimate soldier, who doesn't stop at anything, and that follows all of the orders and has no humanity left. That's why he made her kill her own mother, like as a child, uh because he wanted her to always have that visual that that was the closest person to her, and he forces her hand, like
Yeah.
to end this person's life. And then, like, we can only imagine what a kid would go through. Like, this
Oh
is what you see when Ludmila
well.
is sitting in the
Let
showers
me ask.
decompressing. This is the visuals that she's getting. They haunt her for the rest of her life, and that was part of his plan. So, like, that's like extreme cruelty at the same time. And technically he failed, because when it mattered, which, by the way, his failure saves his daughter's and his wife's life. The fact that he failed
Yeah.
saves their lives, because the moment when Ludmila is given an order to get rid of the loose ends, or to kill the people that he loves the most in the world, and he is her most hated enemy, still she cannot do it, because she has this distinction in her mind that they're not responsible for his sins. They're separate people. This woman is not responsible for his sins. She loved him and she had a child with him, but she's not responsible for his sins. And this child is innocent, despite of her of who her father is. And she realizes, I can't possibly pull that trigger. No, like, and she fully realizes, this is when you see her, like, um getting like really emotional, to the point when you see a seasoned killer start like shedding a tear. And you might ask, like, why would somebody that tough have this much emotion?
Well,
Because
how about? I was gonna ask you. There's one scene I was gonna talk to you about, and that is after you finish, with the action with the rock, you slump back and you start crying. My thing was that you actually crying? Was that
yeah.
you with emotion?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I felt her
Oh,
emotions, like, because, like, when you this is why sometimes, like, actors go literally insane when they portray really complex characters. If you go
yeah.
deep enough, like, you have to, like, process those emotions. They go through your body, through your nervous system. You are experiencing them in your mind. You're using all of your empathy to imagine, like, what does this person go, like, what did this person go through, like, how do they feel, what do they want. And when you feel them so much, so intensely, you actually feel their pain, you actually feel their emotions in the moment. And it was, yeah, like, I was like crying my eyes out, like I was like bawling. And I was like, I
Yeah.
was hoping, like, I hope there's not going to be a lot of takes like that. I hope that we get it, like, like,
Right.
from the first takes, because it's a huge amount of emotions
Energy.
that you have to process in a moment. And it's really, it gets like harder to go back to them. And, like, like, if you do too many takes, at some point you start just mimicking them, because, like, just naturally as a human being, like, once you kind of cry your eyes out, like, you don't want to just immediately go into doing it all over again.
Oh God, no,
So
no.
that was like, yeah, that was like really intense. And the reason
And
why,
and,
after she
and the
already
scene is
killed him, he already fell down, like, but she has years and years and years and years of suppressed emotions, suppressed anger, suppressed pain, that she never, like, allowed herself to let out. we see them like
Yeah.
glimpses coming through, like every now and then, like when she is most vulnerable and when she's alone and nobody sees her. But she never really, like went into therapy, or like how to have a
Yeah, it makes
moment
you
like where
wonder
she took
about
a year
that.
off work.
It was interesting because, you know, well, first of all, we see the for the fact that she still has to deal with that. She's gonna have to deal with that sooner than later, because
Yeah.
she won't be able to survive emotionally. Even
Yeah.
though she accomplished her mission. But we saw the cracks there in her when she was with the little girl, because and she realizes that I'm in a dangerous spot here, because normally I would never think I'll pull doing something like that. So I'm cracking a little bit. But the fact is, to me, it just opens the door for hopefully a future adventure where we see Lamilla has emotionally how much she has come forward from the first film. If you do another one, then you can bring her up and see how she's healing herself, how she's getting help and support, and which would be a really good hook to get a sequel going, because I would really like to see that, because this movie, I really I think it's so well done in that aspect, and it goes way beyond the norm. To me, it was just and it was a really fantastic job by you, Tatiana. Your acting was just sensational, and the young
Thank
man
you.
who played Victor. I got to give the young guy who played the guy Resnikov, uh, Gray Michael Salas.
Great Michael
I got to
Salas,
give
yeah.
him, yeah,
Yeah,
I've
he
got to
was
give him
great in
props
them.
too. He was really good. Your whole crew was really good, and I really
Thank you.
enjoyed this. Um, what's next? I mean, what's next for you? Are we? I know Alexander's got the horror movie bug, and I think that's amazing. I know he says he's doing a horror movie next, I believe. But are we gonna get a return visit with Ellen back in the Rio
Uh,
Bravo? Or are we gonna?
there is talks on that, and I mean it is a trilogy, so it's bound to happen
Yeah,
at some point. Yes, absolutely correct. Alexander Nevsky is planning, currently in pre-production for his next project, where it's going to be a horror film, but it's also going to be like also going to have like elements of a thriller, and some elements of drama. Like it's going to be a little bit of a on the deeper end. Like it's not like just like a straight up horror. It's going to be a little more interesting in terms of like psychological exploration of the character. And the actor who plays the lead in that film is a really great actor that you've seen before. It's Nick Bailey from The Wild West.
yeah.
He played the judge, and I feel like he's going to do an amazing job. Like I can't wait to see what he's going to do in the film. Um,
I
because
think it's
like
great
he,
because Alexander, he sort of had even when we first met, when we were talking about the Night of the Caregiver, even back then he said that in our interview. He says, I'm watching you guys film this movie, and I realized that, damn it, I wanted to be in it. So I wanted to be in this movie. I wanted to do a horror movie, because he's
yeah,
always done the action. He's never done a horror movie. He says, I'm sitting there watching and going, like, I want to be in a horror movie. So,
absolutely.
yeah. Now, are you going to be in the new movie as well, or do you have your own
Yes.
path that you're taking?
Yes,
Okay,
there's
good, good.
I play the role of the agent of the main character, who is this writer. I don't want to give too much away.
Right. No,
So
no, we don't
to
want. We can't risk that.
yeah, but yes, absolutely, you will see me in it. And um ho- hopefully, fingers crossed, the next one after that will be the concluding part of the trilogy of Rio Bravo, and we will get to see Alan in action in that one. Like
Yeah, I
very,
can't
very,
wait. I
very
can't
much would
wait for
enjoy
that.
that. Yeah,
Um,
but I would like to
I
take an
think people are going to be very
opportunity.
surprised. I
I
was
would
going to
like,
say, I think people
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh no, no, you go ahead.
I was going to say, I think people will be very surprised by this. I think there's a lot of, like I mentioned, Commando in terms of the action of it, but I think of the emotion of it, again, or someone who's, it is sort of does remind me of Linda Hamilton and
Yes,
she does show emotion. I think it's great. And for people who out there are nitpicking, don't let me find you with my snow cheetah. Yes, this is an independent film, and it comes out on ITN. So I do believe you got a physical media release, right? It is out on Exumo Play, where it's actually been a big hit
yes, and it
for
actually just
Exumo
came
Play.
out in on Prime Video. You can watch it in Canada, US, UK, and it keeps coming out internationally. So you, like, if you are in another country and you want to watch this movie, like, check on the Prime Video, and you might actually be able to find it there depending on the area that you're in.
Uh, yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what you are bringing to us next. I know hopefully it'll be by the end of the year, if not early next year. Tatiana, I'm blessed to have you come out here and talk.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for.
Thank
Yeah,
you
I
so
hope we do
much.
this again real soon. I had so much fun. I had
Me
so much fun. I'm
too.
thinking,
Me too.
I'm thinking, I kept on, I'm going like, man, it's gonna be a strange. I'm used to talking with Alex and Joe, and it's like they're not here. It's just me and Tatiana one on one, and
Yeah, but
I had a blast.
can I just say
Uh,
one more thing? Because
sure,
like, I'm here representing not just myself but also the team that I was working with to
yeah,
bring Prayavrath to life, and I would like to extend a thank you to our amazing team, the cast, the crew. I would like to thank Dr. Choka, who hired me to play the lead in his creation, who wrote the whole thing, and who was the main director on the project. And I would like to thank Benny Jandra, who was the producer and also co-directed. I would like to thank the magnificent Cynthia Rothrock for coming on board and really bringing that legacy light to
yeah.
help the movie
I just want,
shine even more. And
I just want to say
was
thank you,
one of the
Cynthia, for
biggest inspirations on set. And of course, like, it's an action film. So I
yeah,
would like to thank our amazing stunt team who literally probably risk their lives, like, just to make sure that everything looks great. And the reason why all of the kicks and the punches and all of the tricks are selling is because these guys are doing their absolute best to make sure that it all looks legit and all looks spectacular. And yeah, like, I would like to thank Alexander Nevsky, who came on board as an executive producer and helped us cross the finish line. And absolutely a shout out to ITN and Stuart Olson
yeah.
for taking care of the distribution. And thank
I
you
can.
for having me over and giving me a platform to talk about it. Thank you so much.
Uh, no problem. ITN has been really good to you guys, and I know that partnership will continue. Do you know if they release this on physical media yet? Did they release this on DVD or Blu-ray?
Not yet,
I
but
can
it's
ask them.
coming.
Not yet. Okay, it's
It's
coming.
coming.
So
Yeah.
it'll be coming soon. Yes. All right. I'm tickled. Thank you again. Thank you everybody in the chat. You're right. Your team did an outstanding job as far as this film goes. A lot of great scenes. The fight scenes are off the chain. Um, and unlike Arnold, who was afraid to get a little wounded in Commando, we can say that the Snow Wolf did not. The Snow Wolf did take a punch or two, but she might have got a bit of a punch, but she got up and kicked ass afterwards. Um, which is really cool because I don't like to see my heroes that don't bleed. Heroes that don't bleed, I don't know. There's just something about, if it's something worth fighting for, you're gonna bleed for it. So
100%.
we will hopefully see the snow wolf back after Rio Bravo. But if she does something else between now and then, we'll be here and we'll be willing to talk to her about it.
Thank you so
Tatiana, I'll
much.
let you I'll let you go for now. Thank you again. Thank you again to Alexander, and yeah, we'll stay in touch.
And thank you to everyone who's watching.
Puppy
It's you
Hanhart,
guys, exactly. It's you guys that make everything possible because we make it for you.
have a great night, and thank you
You
again for
too.
everything. Okay,
Take care. Good to see you. Bye.
bye.